They regret letting you go, but it's too late. Stoic wisdom. People often grasp your significance only when your absence shouts louder than your presence. Let this sink in a moment. This message is for the givers, the steadfast ones, the hearts that kept showing up even when it drained their energy. You invested time, stayed committed, and stretched yourself repeatedly, not once or twice, but through every warning sign you tried to convert into a reason. Through every indifferent reply, every chilly response, every manipulation they believed you'd endlessly tolerate. You offered love with the generosity of a breath, while they acted as though they'd never need it. Until the day you stopped offering. You didn't depart dramatically or broadcast a farewell. You didn't seek validation or try to prove a point. You simply vanished, peaceful, deliberate, gone. That's the moment they noticed. Not your exit, but the realization you weren't returning. Here's the truth this world often distorts. It tells us that those who chase, beg, or cling are the ones who truly care, that loyalty means enduring until you're spent. Let's shatter that myth right here. Devotion without mutual respect isn't sacrifice, it's self-betrayal. And let's make this clear, you were built to stand tall, not to shrink for someone else's ego. We've been conditioned to believe that the ones who linger, persuade, or struggle the hardest are the ones who love deeply. But real dedication is about boundaries, not martyrdom. It's knowing when to withdraw rather than feed a one-sided dynamic. The quiet strength lies not in chasing, but in choosing to walk away when your worth is ignored. Those who give endlessly without being met halfway often forget a crucial lesson: your presence should never be bartered for someone else's peace. This isn't about being cold or unforgiving. It's about recognizing that pouring into someone who doesn't value your efforts is like watering a plant that's already withered. True loyalty flourishes when it's reciprocated, not when it's held hostage by manipulation or indifference. So, to those who've stayed too long out of false hope, know this: your silence isn't abandonment, it's a declaration of your worth. Sometimes the most powerful act of love is loving yourself enough to leave. Let me paint you a picture with a metaphor you'll remember. Imagine this: you were like a steady lamp glowing in a pitch-black room, always offering light, always present, a reliable source of warmth and comfort. The people around you grew so accustomed to your brightness that they stopped noticing it altogether. They never expressed their gratitude, never made an effort to protect or appreciate you, simply assuming your glow would always be there for them. Then, without warning, the bulb goes out. You take your radiance, your kindness, your supportive presence, and move it somewhere it can truly be valued. Suddenly, the once warm room feels cold, silent, and strangely empty. Now, those people long for the light they lost, yet they never learned how to cherish it while it was shining for them. You might recognize the signs: they pretend as if nothing has changed, but if you look closely, their expressions speak volumes. The forced smiles, the unexpected message just to check in, or the casual like on your social media post aren't just coincidences. These are subtle signals of regret and remorse wearing the mask of nonchalance. Their conscience is dressed up, trying not to reveal the truth to you, or even to themselves. The twist? Most won't ever come out and say they miss you. Their pride drowns out their true feelings. But don't be misled: regret can make more noise in silence than it ever does in words. As the philosopher Marcus Aurelius wisely remarked, waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. Rather than waiting for others to recognize your value, continue shining wherever your light is genuinely respected and welcomed. Release yourself from debating what love ought to feel like. Experience it fully. Your heart has already demonstrated its capacity. You've already invested everything. Now is your time to ascend. You radiate brilliance. You transition into a tranquility so profound it resonates in spaces where your identity once existed. Let's be honest with ourselves: this journey isn't about seeking retribution. It's not about inspiring regret in others. That's merely a natural consequence of your personal growth and evolution. The ultimate aim isn't to be longed for, it's to achieve complete liberation. You were never the source of the problem. Instead, you embodied a valuable lesson. Unfortunately, some individuals only grasp important teachings after the instructor has departed. So rediscover your laughter. Let your healing process be visible to all. Develop such a profound connection with your own existence that no remnants from previous chapters can disturb your present peace. Create something so extraordinarily beautiful that even those who caused you pain momentarily stop and quietly acknowledge, "Wow, I once had that in my life." Remember, your transformation isn't just about moving on, it's about creating a life so authentic and fulfilling that it speaks for itself, showing others the remarkable resilience of the human spirit when we choose to honor ourselves first. Let's take a moment together. It's never too late for you. I want you to take a deep breath and join me in this. Shout it out in the comments below, as loud as you can. Say it with pride and conviction. If this resonates with you, let it show. Smash that like button. If you're enjoying this, hit the subscribe button for more content like this. We're just getting started here. Let me share something powerful with you. The famous philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live." Now, let's expand on this. This isn't just about life in general, it applies to love and every aspect of our existence. Think about all the dreams, opportunities, and relationships that we let slip away while we're still breathing. Think about the moments we miss because we're too busy hoping instead of acting. And consider this, when someone rejects you, it's not about you. It's about them. They're not rejecting your worth, they're running away from their own insecurities. Here's the truth, you weren't rejected. You were revealed. They didn't see you and think you weren't enough. They saw you and were confronted with their own fears and doubts. This is an important distinction. It's not about you not being good enough, it's about them not being ready to see your potential. Remember, life is full of chances, and sometimes we miss them. But it's never too late to start living and loving fully. You're here, reading this, which means you're taking the first step towards embracing your full potential. Keep going. There's a whole world out there waiting for you. No, let's take a moment to explore what truly transpired. They encountered something that felt overwhelmingly real, profoundly deep, and strikingly raw, and instinctively recoiled. The reality is that most individuals do not turn away from you personally, rather, they turn away from the reflection you present to them. This reflection reveals aspects of themselves that they are not prepared to confront. Picture this scenario: you are akin to a unique masterpiece, a one-of-a-kind creation, timeless and rich in complexity. However, instead of being displayed prominently in a well-lit gallery where your vibrant colors can truly shine and be appreciated, you find yourself relegated to a dimly lit basement. Dust accumulates, and the light diminishes. Each time someone passes by, they merely shrug and mutter, "It's nice, I suppose." They never truly look, they never genuinely see. Then, one day, a discerning individual arrives, someone with the ability to see beyond the surface. They take the time to clean you up, frame you beautifully, and showcase you in a prominent space. Suddenly, the very person who once overlooked you is standing at the gallery entrance, tears in their eyes, exclaiming, "I had no idea it was this stunning." But now it's too late, it's no longer in the basement. It's out of reach. It's not available for purchase. I can sense your thoughts, I understand the anxiety that creeps in, whispering doubts like, "Why wasn't I sufficient?" This reflection is not just about art, it's about the human experience and the journey of self-worth. What if I simply put in more effort? Was there something essential that I was missing? What if they never return? It's important to recognize that this fear isn't a sign of weakness, rather, it's your heart's natural response, striving to find clarity amidst the turmoil. Let's dispel that misconception right now. You were not too much for them, they were simply not enough. You should never have to diminish your spirit to accommodate someone else's narrow perspective. Here's the reality: our brains tend to fixate on what remains unfulfilled. We often replay the opportunities we missed with greater intensity than those we seized. When you become that missed opportunity, you turn into a lingering thought in their quiet moments, an echo that refuses to fade away. They may attempt to fill that void with distractions, fleeting relationships, and temporary companions who ultimately fall short. But you, my friend, were the genuine article. Authenticity is not something that walks through the door every day. I understand how challenging it can be to hold on to that belief when you're sitting by yourself, gazing at your phone, hoping for a message that never arrives. It's tough to see yourself as a masterpiece when you've been treated like a mere draft. It can be quite challenging to feel truly valued when your experiences have led you to believe you are merely an option. This struggle often resides in the painful space between your self-perception and the way others have treated you. Here's another important insight: individuals only perceive what they are prepared to acknowledge. You might present love in the most exquisite form, be it through unwavering loyalty, boundless patience, or heartfelt affection. However, if someone is not open to receiving it, they will inevitably overlook it. The issue lies not in how you present your love, but rather in their inability to see it. Now, let's shift the perspective a bit. The rejection you may have internalized as a reflection of your self-worth was never truly about you. It stemmed from their own issues, perhaps their fear of forming deep connections, their emotional immaturity, or their struggle to appreciate genuine value when it doesn't come with drama, excitement, or a sense of turmoil. You were the embodiment of consistency, stability, and availability. Yet, because you didn't bring chaos into their lives, they may have perceived you as dull or uninteresting. Now that you are no longer part of their world, they find themselves surrounded by disorder, and suddenly, the peace you once offered appears to them as a slice of paradise. It's essential to understand that rejection is not merely a closed door, it can also be an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Think of it as a bright beam of light, shining down to reveal the truth. This light exposes those who aren't prepared, those who aren't on the same page as you, and those who simply don't deserve the best version of yourself, the one that shows up fully, with confidence and authenticity. If you're fortunate, this illuminating moment comes early, saving you from wasting precious time trying to persuade someone to truly see you, especially when their attention is already drifting elsewhere. Let them walk away. Let them feel the sting of regret later. Let them flip through old memories, wondering how they could have let go of someone who gave them their all. Here's the unspoken reality: they won't admit it openly, but they do think of you. In the stillness of the night, as they scroll through their phone, or in the morning when their "good morning" messages feel empty without your reply, they feel your absence. They laugh at a joke but instinctively turn to share it with you, only to realize you're no longer by their side. And here's the deeper truth: they don't just miss you as a person. They miss the version of themselves they were when they were with you. They miss the calm, the happiness, the sense of security you brought into their life. But now, it's too late, not because you hold a grudge or feel resentment, but because you've moved forward and started truly living your life. So, stand tall and embrace your full potential. Stop waiting for someone else to recognize your value and start celebrating it yourself. When you finally understand that you were never the issue, you'll stop trying to prove yourself or fix things that were never your fault. They didn't push you away because of your shortcomings, they simply couldn't see your worth. For example, imagine planting a beautiful garden but someone refuses to water it. They can't blame the flowers for wilting. Similarly, you can't blame yourself for their inability to appreciate you. Focus on growing, thriving, and surrounding yourself with people who see and cherish your light. Let me ask you to do something powerful. Repeat after me: I am the masterpiece. Share this affirmation in the comments below. Declare it boldly. Own it with confidence. If these words resonate deeply with you, consider giving this a like. And if you're ready to stop letting others define your worth through their limited vision, hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned, because up next, we're diving into what happens when they assumed you'd wait endlessly for them. But the truth is, you've already started building a life without them. Let's unpack this. They thought they could cheat, ghost you, ignore you, and yet, you'd still be waiting. But here's the thing, my silence doesn't mean I'm not present. It just means I've grown tired of explaining my worth to someone who's no longer willing to listen. Let's get real for a moment. They chose to cheat, to ghost you, to ignore your messages, your efforts, and your presence. Yet somehow, they still believed you'd always be there, waiting patiently. But that's not your story anymore, is it? They assumed you would be patient. Patient enough to wait for their confusion to dissipate. Patient for their ego to mature. Patient for them to return when it suited them best. This was the false narrative they constructed for themselves. Meanwhile, you held on to something genuine. So, you lingered for a time. But let's unpack this situation right now. Familiarity can lead to misconceptions. When someone has daily access to your energy, your time, and your affection, they may begin to take it for granted. They might start to think that your support is always available, that you will consistently reach out, and that no matter how far they push you away, you will always bounce back like a rubber band. However, love is not something that can stretch indefinitely, my friends. It can break. And when it does, that break is not merely a sign of tension, it signifies a boundary, a definitive one. They became accustomed to you pursuing them, to you being present even when they didn't earn that attention. They misunderstood almost everything about you. Your kindness? They saw it as naivety. Your steady loyalty? To them, it looked like desperation. Your willingness to forgive? They treated it as a blank check to keep crossing the same lines. What they never grasped is that you were never begging, you were simply devoted. And here's the part they overlooked: when devotion is met with repeated disrespect, it quietly hardens into detachment, a kind of exit that happens softly but stays for good. Let's paint a clearer picture. Imagine someone stumbling upon a cavern overflowing with gold and rare, breathtaking gemstones, wealth that could last generations. Instead of securing the site and cherishing the discovery, this person wanders off, lured by random bits of glass glittering on the surface, quick thrills, cheap attention, momentary highs. Those shiny pebbles are everywhere, so they feel exciting but never valuable. Eventually, the wanderer decides to return to the cave, assuming it will welcome them as before. By that time, the entrance has been sealed, the gate locked tight. Only then do they realize they traded genuine treasure for ordinary rubble. In that story, you are the cave. You are the genuine treasure trove, steady, rare, irreplaceable. Unfortunately, they treated you like commonplace gravel until the moment you closed the doors. Now, your silence echoes louder than any speech you could give. Your absence has a noticeable weight, it changes the atmosphere the way a missing painting leaves an empty frame. They keep scrolling through old messages, searching for the version of you who might have given them one more chance. But that version has moved on, transformed by the very disregard that drove you to lock the gates in the first place. It's a universal lesson: people often recognize value only after it's gone. You displayed commitment, patience, and grace, qualities many claim to want, yet few know how to honor. Once lost, those qualities are not easily rediscovered, and that realization can be harsher than any spoken reprimand. That chapter of your life, the one where you were always available, always forgiving, always there to pick up the pieces, is over. It's transformed, mended, and no longer within reach. And trust me, they're starting to notice the shift. You'll see it in the small, seemingly innocent gestures: a random, hi text out of nowhere, a throwback selfie they dig up from the past, or even those tiny emoji reactions they sprinkle on your posts. They think they're being clever, flying under the radar. They believe you won't catch on to their game. But oh, we see it for exactly what it is: a mask. It's panic dressed up as casual interest, regret hiding behind a flimsy, just checking in, excuse. Here's the kicker, though, the part that really stands out. They still won't own up to their mistakes. There's no heartfelt apology, no genuine effort to take responsibility. Why? Because their ego is shouting louder than their guilt ever could. Pride has a way of drowning out the pain they feel, even when it's eating them up inside. But if you listen closely, you'll hear it, their silence isn't as solid as it seems. It's starting to fracture, and when it does, your name echoes through the cracks. Now, you might be wondering, why does this sting them so much more now than it did before? Here's the answer: they thought you were a sure thing. In their minds, you were someone they could mistreat without consequences, disrespect without pushback, and return to whenever it suited them. They saw you as a revolving door, a place they could walk in and out of at their convenience. But here's the truth they're just now realizing: you were never a temporary stopover, like some roadside motel. You were a sanctuary, a home, a place of value and worth. And homes aren't meant to be treated carelessly. When they finally grasped that, the weight of their loss hits harder than ever. When you decided to reclaim your key, it became clear to them that nothing else could compare to your presence. Let's delve into the psychological aspects of this situation. The human mind tends to form stronger attachments to things that are unpredictable or unattainable. When something is always within reach, it often gets overlooked and taken for granted. However, once it is truly gone, it triggers a cycle of regret, filled with thoughts of, what if, sleepless nights, vivid memories, and a tendency to rewrite the past in a way that casts them as the victim. Yet, the truth remains unchanged and does not require any alterations. They may have believed that your kindness was a sign of weakness, but in reality, you were simply exercising patience. Now that your patience has come to an end, they are beginning to understand the true cost of losing someone who was willing to give them everything. I understand that this situation is painful. A part of you might still contemplate whether you should reach out, perhaps to provide them with closure or one final explanation. However, it's important to remember that they made their choices. Each ignored message, every unfulfilled promise, and every instance where they opted for a fleeting thrill instead of your consistent support was their way of providing closure. You were simply too loving to recognize it at the time. But now, you have moved on. You are not filled with bitterness, instead, you have grown stronger. So continue to shine, to evolve, and to create the life they were too oblivious to appreciate. Let your silence serve as your strength. Embracing your inner peace can be a powerful form of self-empowerment. When you've been hurt or wronged by someone, it's natural to feel a sense of longing or waiting for them to come back and make things right. But the truth is, you don't need their validation or apology to move forward. You can choose to rise above the pain and find peace, even in the midst of chaos. And when you do, you'll be amazed at how liberating it feels. So, let's make a declaration together: I sealed the mine. Write it down, say it out loud, and own it. This is your moment of empowerment, and it's time to take control of your life. If you're feeling the shift inside you, show your support by liking and subscribing. We're just getting started on this journey of self-discovery and healing. One important thing to remember is that people who have hurt us often put on a mask of happiness and perfection. But behind those fake smiles and forced laughter, they may be hiding their true pain and struggles. The loudest smiles can often hide the quietest cries, and it's essential to recognize this. Not everyone who loses someone or something falls apart in public. Some people may appear to be okay, but deep down, they're struggling to cope. Let's keep this in mind as we navigate our relationships and interactions with others. Stay with me, and let's dive deeper into the truth behind the mask. They put on a show. They cover their wounds with fashionable outfits, inspirational quotes, snapshots from their vacations, and forced laughter in bustling environments. However, what they fail to reveal, what they will never share online, is the profound stillness that envelopes them at night. The weight of silence becomes almost unbearable when there's no one around to divert their attention from the reality they face. They are not truly okay, they merely appear to be. You see, regret has a peculiar way of manifesting itself. It doesn't always come in the form of tearful apologies or lengthy confession messages. More often than not, it lurks behind the highlights of life, behind the facade of, "I'm doing great," and the images of fresh starts and gym selfies. Yet, beneath this polished exterior lies a struggle. Beneath the bravado is a sense of bewilderment. They are not in the process of healing, they are simply concealing their pain. Picture someone who has fallen into deep water. Instead of calling out for assistance, they don a cheerful mask and wave to the onlookers on the shore, pretending everything is fine. That's them, silently sinking while performing happiness as if it were a theatrical production. The applause they seek is hollow because deep down, they know that the only person who truly understands their plight is you. They share stories on social media, but your name lingers in their thoughts. They go out on dates, yet none of those individuals are aware of their triggers, fears, or vulnerabilities like you once were. They laugh more loudly, but that laughter fades quickly once the crowd disperses. In those moments when everything finally settles into silence, that's often when the mask begins to fracture. Suddenly, the void left by your absence doesn't feel like relief, it feels like a painful loss. To understand why, let's dive into some real psychology. When we push down our emotions, whether it's grief over a breakup, guilt from past mistakes, or deep-seated regret, they don't simply vanish. Instead, they burrow beneath our conscious awareness and seep into our nervous system, altering our baseline state of calm. That's why someone who isn't fully processing their feelings can suddenly feel restless or irritable for no obvious reason. No matter how many distractions they stack up, be it scrolling endlessly on social media, immersing themselves in work, or partying every night, they'll still sense that something's off. Their body remembers the tension and heartbreak that their ego tried so hard to ignore. You'll see them battling insomnia, feeling agitated at the smallest setbacks, or compulsively seeking new stimuli just to avoid facing what's really inside. These behaviors aren't badges of healing, they're red flags that someone is desperately avoiding emotional pain. The root issue is that you weren't merely a passing chapter in their life. You were the central figure, the inspiration behind their daily story. They only realize they've lost the most important part of their narrative once the book is gone. And from your perspective, it's equally challenging. You're looking in from the outside, watching curated posts and perfectly filtered snapshots that radiate, "I'm thriving without you." It's natural to wonder, as you scroll through their highlight reel, whether you ever truly mattered at all. How is it possible for them to move on so quickly? Did they ever truly experience any pain? Allow me to clarify this for you. Yes, you were more significant to them than they let on, more than they are willing to acknowledge. However, they are not displaying any signs of hurt because doing so would require them to take responsibility for their actions. It would mean confronting the reality of what they have lost. Not everyone possesses the courage to face that truth, especially when you were not just a source of love for them, you represented a deeper truth. And that truth can be painful to confront when one is not prepared to accept it. You might be curious about when they think of you the most. It's during those quiet moments after the excitement has faded. When the celebrations have ended, and the music has stopped playing. When there are no more friends around asking for pictures or drinks. It's in the stillness of the night, at 2 a.m., when they lie in bed, and the only voice they hear is yours. Not the voice that pleaded or the one that was filled with sorrow, but the voice that brought them a sense of calm. The voice that inquired about their true feelings. The one that cherished their unique traits. The one that remained until you could no longer endure the situation. That is the moment they begin to spiral, not because of anything you did, but because your absence serves as a mirror, reflecting who they were when they were with you and who they have reverted to in your absence. However, it's important to remember that it is not your responsibility to rescue them now. You have already given them your heart, your time, and your kindness, and they have chosen to learn through the experience of loss. So, do not be deceived by the curated highlights of their life. The process of healing isn't something others are doing for you, it's something you're actively creating for yourself. While others are preoccupied with their routines, you're undergoing a transformation. While they're distracted by fleeting pleasures or distractions, you're cultivating inner peace. While they're trapped in repetitive patterns of thought or behavior, you're consciously reshaping your destiny. So stand tall, knowing that your journey matters deeply. You are not overlooked, nor are you easily forgotten. Your story is one of resilience and uniqueness, and you don't need approval from someone who's still struggling to understand their own losses. Let's say this together: their smile doesn't fool me. Type it in the comments below. Speak it aloud with confidence. Embrace your truth and share it with the world. If you've ever had to wear a brave face during your own challenges, give this post a thumbs up. And if you're ready to stop letting others' facades cloud your self-belief, hit subscribe. Stay with me as we dive deeper into why your absence became their benchmark, and why no one else can ever measure up. Here's the fourth insight: you became the standard. Now, no one else can compete with that. Once you've experienced something genuine, every alternative feels like a pale imitation. Let that truth sink in deeply, because here's what they're beginning to grasp: slowly, achingly, and without words, you weren't just another name on their list of past relationships. You became the template, the invisible yardstick they used to measure every new connection. They didn't value what you offered until they tried, and kept failing, to recreate it elsewhere. It's not merely longing they feel, it's the relentless comparison of others to you. You've become their standard. Think about it: people often claim they want novelty, a blank page, a chance to start over. But the unspoken reality? They don't truly crave new. They yearn for depth wrapped in familiarity. They want the thrill of discovery paired with the warmth of belonging, security that still feels alive. And that combination? It's extraordinarily rare. That was you. You offered them calm and intensity in equal measure, moments of joy balanced with stability, understanding paired with unwavering attention. You were the person who memorized how they took their coffee. The one who sensed their mood shifting from a single word. The one who celebrated their wins loudly and lent quiet strength during their lows. You weren't just a partner, you were their safe place. But they didn't recognize it until it was gone. Now, they're out there searching, realizing that what they dismissed as ordinary was actually extraordinary, and irreplaceable. And every attempt to find it elsewhere only underscores what they lost. In today's dating landscape, it's easy to get caught up in the thrill of casual connections and fleeting relationships. We've all been there, swiping through dating apps, jumping into rebounds, or finding ourselves stuck in situationships. It's like we're constantly searching for a quick fix, a fast food version of love that's easy to grab and go. But the truth is, these microwave connections might look appealing on the surface, but they lack the depth and nutritional value that our hearts truly crave. Nothing compares to the real thing, a slow-cooked, soul-nourishing relationship that leaves a lasting impact. So, why do we keep coming back to these shallow connections? From a psychological perspective, it's all about dopamine. This neurotransmitter is responsible for the thrill and excitement we feel when we're around someone new. It's the reason why we get hooked on the attention and novelty of a fresh relationship. But here's the thing: dopamine is a fleeting high. It spikes quickly, but it also fades just as fast. What's left behind is what truly matters: emotional safety, emotional intelligence, and a deep understanding of one another. These are the building blocks of a meaningful connection, the kind that creates a lasting bond between two people. And that's exactly what you brought to the table. You didn't offer a sugar rush or a temporary high, you offered a sense of soul steadiness, a feeling of being grounded and at peace. That's why every smile, every laugh, and every moment with someone new gets compared to the real thing, to the connection you shared. It's a tough act to follow, but it's also a reminder of what's truly possible when we invest in something real. Every piece of writing is measured against the way you used to connect with others. Each laugh seems a bit emptier because you're not the one sharing it. While they may not voice it, acknowledging that they made a mistake would be too difficult for them, yet they are aware of it. Deep within, in the parts of themselves they keep hidden from others, they understand the truth. It's not that the people around them are inherently flawed, it's simply that they are not you. Let me illustrate this with a metaphor. Picture someone who used to enjoy dining at a luxurious five-star restaurant every evening, relishing the exquisite atmosphere, delightful flavors, and meticulous service. However, one day, they grew tired of that experience and decided to try a food truck instead. Now, they find themselves munching on greasy fries in a parking lot, trying to convince themselves that it's the same experience. But it's not. Each bite serves as a reminder of what they have sacrificed. Here's the interesting part: you're not even in a competition with them. You're not attempting to outshine their new choice. Instead, you are simply living your life, radiating positivity, and evolving. This makes the comparison even more painful for them, as they witness you moving forward, improving, and becoming increasingly difficult to reach and impossible to replace. They assumed you would be easy to forget, that you would quietly fade away while they explored what they thought were better alternatives. However, what they encountered was merely a cacophony of superficiality, not genuine depth, a series of diversions, rather than authentic connections. This is because you were never just an option. You were the benchmark, the elevated standard they found themselves unable to reach anymore. And perhaps the most difficult aspect to swallow is that they are acutely aware they had you, that they were the one selected, that they were recipients of your complete and unwavering love, and yet, they discarded it all, under the misguided belief that they could effortlessly stumble upon that same unique magic in another individual. But the kind of vibrant energy you possess doesn't make a repeat appearance. The caliber of love you offer isn't something that can be easily replicated. The unwavering loyalty you demonstrate doesn't seek attention or demand to be acknowledged. Instead, it simply vanishes, leaving behind a lingering shadow they can't seem to erase from their minds. So, continue to elevate yourself, continue on your journey of healing. Allow them to search, let them strive, let them persuade themselves that the next person will evoke the same feelings, until they inevitably collide with the very wall where your energy once resided. Until they find themselves aimlessly scrolling through messages, only to come to the stark realization that this isn't the same. Because while they are preoccupied with pursuing quantity, you are transforming into a quality that no one else can even come close to matching. Repeat after me: I am the standard. Take a moment and jot that down in the comments right now. Declare it loudly. Declare it with pride. Unveil yourself to the world. Show everyone who you truly are. And if you've ever found yourself in the position of being the one they attempted to replace, go ahead and smash that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because up next, we're going to explore a powerful truth: you don't have to go searching for closure. In fact, you already embody it. Stick with me, because the insights only get more profound from here. Let's talk about point number 5. You're not out there chasing closure, you are the closure. You don't owe anyone an explanation, especially not to those who made you doubt your own value in the first place. Let's clear this up once and for all. You don't need closure from someone who abruptly shut you out, walked away, and expected you to linger, waiting for answers that may never come. You don't need their words, their apologies, or those fleeting moments when they suddenly remember you and feel a pang of guilt. You don't need another conversation to tie things up. You are the closure. Let that really sink in. When someone treats you poorly, whether they disappear without a word, betray your trust, or push you away while you were offering them love, you don't owe them a detailed report of your healing process. You don't have to justify why you stopped reaching out, why your name no longer pops up on their phone, or why you didn't reply to that random, "Hey, just checking in" message. Your silence is your answer. That quiet is the unexpected storm they never saw coming and couldn't brace themselves for. Society often tells us a myth, that closure is supposed to be this neat, final conversation, maybe a handshake or even a last hug. But real closure doesn't always look like that. Sometimes, closure is simply you moving forward, choosing yourself, and letting your absence speak volumes. For anyone new to this idea, remember, you don't need someone else's permission or participation to find peace. You are enough, and you are the closure you've been seeking. It's a misconception that closure is something both parties must agree on. Closure is not a debt to be paid, nor is it something you receive from others. True closure comes from within yourself. It's about understanding that the person who caused you pain cannot be the same person to heal you. Let's delve into some psychology here. Our brains are wired to seek resolution. We yearn for closure, for explanations, for endings. This is why being ghosted or met with silence can be so emotionally jarring. When there's no clear reason given, our minds start creating their own narratives to fill the void. The individual who left you in silence may also be struggling with their own inner turmoil. Your unanswered messages act as a reflection, and their silence becomes a heavy burden. Each attempt they make to reconnect that goes unacknowledged reverberates louder than any breakup conversation ever could. There was a time when you sought answers, when you lay awake wondering, why did they leave? What did I do wrong? Have I done enough? Could I have pushed harder or expressed myself more clearly? These are questions that may linger in your mind, but now you've come to understand the truth. Closure doesn't lie in the words they never offered. Instead, it resides in the personal growth they'll never witness, in the calm you've chosen instead of the turmoil they might have caused. It's found in the boundaries you established when they were still toying with your emotions as though it was some kind of game. The real closure comes from your transformation, the quiet strength you've discovered, the conscious decision not to check their social media, and the indifference toward their new relationship. That form of resolution is far more impactful than any conversation could ever be. Let me paint a picture for you. You didn't pen a final chapter to this story. Instead, you became the blank page they keep returning to, flipping through again and again, trying to rewrite the ending in their minds. They wonder how things might have turned out differently if only they had treated you with the respect and care you deserved. And that unanswered question, that yearning for closure, is what they carry with them now. It's not because you raised your voice or made dramatic exits by slamming doors. No, it's because you left with grace and dignity. You walked away with confidence, holding your head high. There was no pleading, no desperate attempts to justify yourself, just an unshakable sense of peace. Have you ever heard the saying, no response is a response? Well, it's absolutely true. In fact, it's incredibly powerful because silence speaks volumes when it comes from someone who once went above and beyond to make the other person feel valued. When that same person chooses to remain silent, it sends a message louder than any argument ever could. For an extended period, you shared your voice with them, but now your absence resonates more profoundly than anything you ever expressed. What truly hurts them is the expectation they held onto. They believed you would return. They thought you would falter, that this silence was merely a fleeting moment. They assumed that, in time, you would seek closure as well. However, with each passing day that your name remains absent from their inbox, and your vibrant energy fails to re-enter their lives, it serves as another reminder of the reality they must face. They come to understand that this is not a mere break or a temporary pause, it is the end of the road. Therefore, you are no longer in pursuit of closure. Instead, you are fully immersed in it, living it, and embracing it. Your tranquility signifies the conclusion of this chapter. The most remarkable aspect is that you did not force the door shut, nor did you secure it. You simply ceased to keep it ajar. They had their opportunity to step through, but they chose not to. Repeat after me, I am the closure. Feel free to express your thoughts in the comments section. Don't hold back, let your voice be heard and take pride in what you share. If you've ever experienced the tranquility that comes from closing a door behind you, only to find solace on the other side, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're intrigued, subscribe to join me as we delve into an even deeper truth. You were once their sanctuary, and now, in your absence, they find themselves emotionally adrift, lacking a place to call home. Stick with me, as this narrative is only beginning to unfold. Let's explore point number 6, you were their refuge, and now they are left feeling emotionally homeless. The loss they experienced was not merely about losing you, it was about losing the one place that truly felt like home to them. Take a moment to let that resonate, my friends, because this situation transcends mere romantic feelings or physical attraction. It's not just about someone longing for your presence, your laughter, or the sound of your voice. This is fundamentally about emotional security. You provided them with a sense of peace in a world that often feels overwhelming and chaotic. You were the calm amidst the storm when everything else in their life seemed to be in disarray, confusion, or turmoil. You were more than just a companion, you were a sanctuary for them. Now, they find themselves emotionally adrift, facing a tumultuous world. The environment around us is chaotic and overwhelming. With endless scrolling through social media, superficial interactions, and a cycle of insincere connections, it seems everyone is vying for attention while shying away from meaningful engagement. In the midst of this clamor, you represented a calming presence. Not a silence that feels empty, but a profound stillness that offered them a refuge. It was a space where they could truly exhale, remove their masks, express their vulnerabilities, and share their messy thoughts without fear of judgment. You didn't merely hear their words, you resonated with their feelings. You helped them feel acknowledged in ways that even they might not have fully grasped. Such a deep bond is irreplaceable, it lingers in memory. Now, they might be out there with someone new, perhaps attempting to maintain a facade of composure, yet internally, something feels amiss. Their heart feels unsettled because the laughter they share lacks genuine resonance. The new attention they receive often feels more like background noise rather than a source of nourishment for their soul. They may post updates, attend parties, and speak confidently, but beneath it all, they are still searching for that lost connection. However, when the lights dim and silence envelopes the room, that's when the true feelings emerge. It's in these quiet moments that the sense of emptiness begins to seep in, as you were the source of warmth and comfort, much like a fireplace. Now, they find themselves shivering, devoid of the means to rekindle that warmth. Here's an important point to consider: emotional security runs deeper than mere physical attraction, and this is backed by psychological research. The human nervous system reacts more intensely to feelings of safety than it does to the thrill of excitement. In their pursuit of fleeting sparks, they overlooked the fact that fire cannot sustain itself without a hearth to nurture it. You were that hearth, the constant flame that prevented their inner turmoil from consuming them entirely. But here's where the significant change occurred. They failed to appreciate what they had while it was present. When individuals become accustomed to a sense of safety, they often find themselves yearning for chaos once more, only to realize that chaos never truly cared for them. And now, in this moment of reflection, they find themselves missing you, not just for the shared memories or the love that once existed, but for the stability, the sense of understanding, and the emotional freedom that accompanied your presence. They attempt to recapture that same energy, but it simply isn't there. Other people may smile at them, yet they remain unseen. Other hands may reach out, but they fail to provide the grounding they once felt. Conversations with others may stretch on, yet they lead nowhere meaningful. Because what you offered was far more than just good vibes. You provided a sense of refuge. Such a presence is truly exceptional and holds a sacred quality that cannot be replicated by someone who recently entered your direct messages. It wasn't effortless for you either. Serving as a safe haven for someone is a weighty responsibility because while you were offering support, comfort, and healing to them, who was there to support you? Who made you feel secure? It was deeply painful when they departed without a second thought, disregarding the profound gift you had bestowed upon them, a gift they didn't even realize they needed, treating it as a passing trend. However, now you have transcended beyond their influence. You are constructing your own tranquility. You have evolved into your own sanctuary. While they continue their quest, endlessly scrolling and spiraling, you are in a process of healing and radiating positivity. You are discovering that being a source of solace for others does not require you to diminish yourself once more. So, let them search. Let them experience the disparity. Let them wake up beside someone who ticks all the boxes but fails to touch their soul. Let them recall you in the quiet moments, in the serenity, amidst the chaos they once thought they desired. Because they didn't just lose love. They lost their sense of belonging. Let's remember, rebuilding a home isn't something we do with just anyone. Repeat after me, I was the sanctuary. Go ahead, jot it down in the comments section. Shout it out. Own it proudly. Reveal your true self. Demonstrate to the world your authenticity. If you've ever provided serenity amidst someone's turmoil, give this message a thumbs up. And if you're ready to stop being a refuge for those who couldn't withstand the tempest, hit that subscription button. Stick around, because next, we're diving deeper into harnessing your inner strength. It's crucial to discuss how your transformation wasn't aimed at causing pain, but rather, it was about liberating yourself. Point number 7, your evolution wasn't to inflict harm, it was about healing and emancipation. Occasionally, the ultimate form of retribution is simply moving forward without a backward glance. Let me clarify, dear friends, your metamorphosis wasn't to wound them. Your ascent wasn't intended to provoke remorse. Your transformation wasn't about putting on a show for others, it was the natural outcome of your journey. Healing isn't about getting even, it's about rising from the ashes and reclaiming your true self from the chaos left by someone else. When you do it right, when you stop trying to fit into other people's expectations, stop over-explaining yourself, and stop diminishing your worth to please those who were never truly invested in you, it hits them hard. They might think you've become cold or distant, but the reality is that you've simply gained clarity. To those who benefited from your confusion, your newfound clarity can feel like cruelty. They might accuse you of changing, but what you've really done is prioritize your own peace over their needs. You've stopped sacrificing your well-being to keep them comfortable. You've stopped waiting for them to finally value you the way you deserved. And here's the fascinating part, you didn't storm out or make a scene. You didn't post dramatic quotes or seek validation through social media drama. Instead, you left with grace, quietly and intentionally, and that's what truly impacted them. You didn't vanish in a fit of anger, you evolved in silence, growing stronger and more centered within yourself. Let me help you visualize this scenario. Picture someone who used to treat your emotional space like an open house, walking through your boundaries daily without permission, never bothering to knock or show consideration. They operated on autopilot, assuming constant access to your energy and attention. But then something shifts. When they return expecting business as usual, they find not just a locked door, but an entirely different landscape. The familiar structure they took for granted has vanished, replaced by a stronger foundation you've built elsewhere, complete with secure boundaries, better lighting in every room of your life, and protective gates they can't bypass. Now they're left clutching outdated keys to a home that no longer exists, while you've created a sanctuary where respect is the entry requirement. This transformation didn't happen overnight. The version of you that accepted half-hearted efforts, believed hollow apologies, and rationalized poor treatment had to transform completely. Like a phoenix rising, your personal growth required releasing what no longer served you. Here's the powerful ripple effect: when you level up emotionally, it holds up a mirror to those content with stagnation. Your healing journey creates psychological tension for people who assumed they could keep you in their comfort zone indefinitely. Your calm presence becomes living proof that their excuses don't hold weight. Through quiet action rather than arguments, your boundaries reveal their unhealthy patterns. Your emotional stability highlights their chaotic tendencies. Your inner peace becomes a silent testament to what they forfeited through complacency. Yet even in this strength, it's natural to occasionally question, did I overcorrect? Could I have been more flexible? Remember, building healthy boundaries isn't about punishment, but protection. Like installing quality locks doesn't mean hating visitors, it means valuing what's inside enough to secure it. Your growth isn't rejection of others, but respect for yourself. Should I have provided more details? Will they believe that I no longer care? That inner voice you hear is the echo of your former self, the part of you that believed love was about proving your value. It's the part that thought closure could be achieved through discussions. But that's not the case anymore. You've grown to understand that your healing journey was not about inflicting pain on them, it was about liberating yourself. You no longer seek their approval to feel complete. You've stopped allowing them to dictate the narrative of your life, a story that was never truly theirs to tell. This isn't about being spiteful or engaging in mind games. You've simply reached a point where you refuse to perform your suffering for an audience that cheered during your moments of despair but fell silent when you achieved your victories. They were never prepared for the strength you possess, which is why they only recognized it when you ceased to give it away. Now, they observe you from afar, flourishing, radiating joy, laughing more freely, loving more deeply, and living a more fulfilling life. And you do all of this without harboring resentment. Instead, you've established clear boundaries. These boundaries are not something they can unlock or bypass. Let's affirm this together. I embarked on a journey of healing to liberate myself. I encourage you to express this in the comments right now. Speak it out loud and take pride in it. Reveal your true self to the world. If you have ever chosen personal growth over feelings of guilt, please show your support by hitting that like button. And don't forget to subscribe, because we are about to dive deep into the next topic. Let's discuss the pivotal moment when they understood that your silence was not merely a temporary break, it signified a definitive conclusion. Stay with me, as the final chapter is approaching, and believe me, you won't want to miss it. Now, let's move on to point number 8, it's too late because you have finally come to recognize your own value. Once you understand your worth, you no longer seek validation from others. They believed they had all the time in the world, time to play mind games, time to vanish and then reappear, and time to belittle you until they felt prepared to love you the way you deserve. But the time has run out, and now it's simply too late. It's not merely about slamming the door behind you, it's about having outgrown the entire structure. In the past, you might have found yourself waiting for their attention, but now, that feeling is a distant memory. When self-love becomes your sanctuary, no one can intrude upon your tranquility. You no longer feel the need to give pieces of yourself to those who never reciprocated with genuine gifts, only empty promises. This realization strikes them profoundly, as the true sense of regret doesn't surface when you leave, it hits them the hardest when they come to understand that you are not returning. They had the opportunity to cherish you, they once had you, but now, they are merely background noise in a narrative that has progressed without them. They may reach out, but you choose not to respond. They might listen to old voicemails, but your voice has faded from their lives. The most painful aspect is that you harbor no anger or bitterness, you have simply become unreachable. Nothing torments the heart quite like the awareness that they once had access to something invaluable and have now lost it forever. So, let's affirm this together, I choose myself now. Write it down in the comments. Say it out loud. Say it with pride. If this message resonates with you on a deeper level, don't hesitate to show your appreciation by clicking the like button. If you're ready to stop prioritizing those who haven't valued you in return, consider subscribing to join this community of growth and self-discovery. And most importantly, stick around, because the journey ahead is filled with opportunities to create a life that truly reflects your worth and potential. Your next chapter isn't just another page, it's the beginning of your most fulfilling story yet, and I'm here to support you every step of the way.